Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Mirikitani with another episode of Weighing In, brought to you by the good folks at Nike Wrestling. Go to athleteps.com for all of your Nike branded gear, pure and clean sports, best cleaning products in the game, and Resilite, the best mat company, joined, as always, by my good friend Mark Ostrander. Mark, I need to give a special shout out to Pure and Clean, Resilite, and Nike again. They all made substantial donations to the Fab 50 duels. Pure Clean sent products and sack bags and all that kind of stuff. Resilite sent the award mats, the award belt. All the matches were wrestled on Resilite mats. They made a championship belt on a mat for the winning team to put on their wall.
Oh, that's cool.
Sick. It was really sick. And Nike, it was a big step up for us. It's the first time Nike's ever actually sold product at our event, was there in person. Grant's obviously overseas in Japan, but Matt Bergman, his right hand, flew in from Columbus, made some great relationships with some schools. We won't mention it publicly, but we've got a couple schools that are going to become Nike schools. And I'm very excited about that. And a couple clubs. And I think Willie Saylor's going to set up a product store through Nike where people can get Matt Scouts gear. So it was an awesome weekend. Great wrestling, Mark. 7 teams ranked in the top 50, and the 8th place team won state eighth ranked team won state last year in Jersey. So some unbelievable wrestling. It was good when my dad said there was a lot of good scrapping. And so it was a good weekend. How about for you?
Yeah, I mean, you being able to do those events is such a cool thing that you do, and you're able to promote the sport of wrestling. You're able to get teams from all over the country come in and doing a big event. You've done this now, David, for probably 10, 11, 12 years with all your events that I know of for sure, probably a little bit longer.
No, you got it about right. First Border Brawl was 2015. The first MMA event, which was 2013. So you're right usual, you're right on the nuts.
So, I mean, what you've done for this sport and for these schools, and to get the information out to people, who these schools are, what they're doing, and how impressive it is. And then you throw Nike on top of that, Resilite, Pure and Clean. Nike's, I can't even tell you how much Nike spends to support the sport of wrestling. It's just astounding. And Grant's done such a good job. The gear's always first class, and if there's ever a mistake, they'll fix it. And there's very rarely mistakes.
Both points are true. That's exactly right. Yeah.
And I'm not a Nike rep. I'm friends with Grant. He gives me these little Nike outfits every once in a while. He knows I'm an Iowa fan, so he gave me an Iowa Nike shirt. So, I appreciate him. Yeah. And but what you've done overall, your parents should be proud. The wrestling community should be proud. And you deserve a pat on the back every once in a while. I don't give it to you too often, but I'm going to give you one today.
From the people like you, when you don't get it real often, when you do get it, it means a lot. So thank you. We need to thank North Hunterdon High School. The legendary coach Dave Bell is coaching there now. He made his sort of reputation at Bergen. They hosted us. They were a great host. 8 teams this year, and we're already up to 12 just by making calls over the weekend. And we'll run it as 16. We'll run it the same format we did in Oklahoma. Our goal is to create a $50,000 prize pool, which will cover travel and prize money for the teams, and make it the Super Bowl of dual meets. Make it the elite dual meet event, which obviously has a huge impact on the team rankings. It's a great way. And you know this, you and me have watched wrestling for a long time. If you have the best tournament team, it's a lot easier for me to try to beat you in a duel. Maybe you have a couple holes and we can maybe pin those guys that are not as good and hold a couple of your studs to a decision. And then all of a sudden my program's on the map. So great day. We started at 10. We're supposed to be done at 6. We finished at 6:08. So you'd have been proud of me. We're eating wings by 7:30. Want a big shout out to Krista Febo, who's Willie's sister. She was in his stead Okay. She brought her boyfriend's daughter, Katie, and Daria Washington. They all set everything up on Friday night for Matt. Matt didn't know what to do. Like, they were setting everything up, and he like had all of our packages put together. And he's like, well, I'll take care of it. And he had 24 boxes to cut open. And the meats go, I go, Matt, like, we're just going to start cutting stuff open and dumping it on the floor. Or you can tell us where to do it, but we're not going to leave you here alone all night.
Yeah.
We got them done by like 7:45-ish, I think. And, you know, we went and had dinner with the parents at a local establishment. And, you know, we went back to the hotel to change clothes, and he called his, he said he had called his wife, and she goes, you sound like you're in a good mood. He goes, yeah, because I'm not in the gym, you know? So it's you and I have talked often on air. It's an amazing partnership. If you had told me 10 years ago that we'd be working with Nike at this level, I'd have been like, God bless America. So GT's working on the new designs for the Ohio Border Brawl. We're going to post those when they come out. They're going to be sick. Like, we're working on matchups this week and next, now that Iron Man and Beast are done, and, you know, Powerade is coming up this weekend.
Let's tell the listeners that are listening to the podcast that event coincides with the NCAA national tournament. So the same week, with just 2-3 days earlier before.
No, one. This year, one.
Okay.
The Wednesday before nationals at St. Edward. It is St. Edward, not St. Edwards, but I'm going to call it St. Ed's because we all do. At St. Ed's High School in Lakewood, Ohio. It is, I think, 9 miles from the arena. If you are maybe a casual wrestling fan, which is totally fine, we appreciate all of you watching and listening. St. Ed's has had, the streak ended, but at one point they had 20, an All-American, Division I All-American, 26 years in a row. If you come to the meet and go to the wrestling room's an old indoor track. It's 2 stories. Around it is every bracket board of a kid that won state, and all the bracket boards of the Fargo champs, and all the bracket boards of the NCAA champs. It's like walking into a history museum. It's unbelievable. Clash of Dynasties, the documentary that Ben Hada put together, it's the Doc Hada's son, really emphasizes just the incredible legacy of St. Ed's and Walsh Jesuit, which is where they hold Ironman, and the amazing relationships that the coaches actually had with each other, and how fierce the rivalry was, and how many superstars came out of there. And speaking of pat on the backs, I owe you one, because I got to do a mat chat with all those guys because of your connection with Johnny McGee. I think was I want to make sure I give him credit. It was Johnny McGee, right? Yeah. So he was I think a national champ for you at Iowa Central.
Yeah, one of my assistant coaches for a few years. So.
Was he a Ed's guy or a Walsh guy?
He was neither. He wrestled for Coventry.
But he was an Ohio guy.
He lived in Akron. He was an Ohio guy. He's a 4-time state champion for Ohio, won high school nationals, which was back then they didn't have who's number one. That was a big event back in the day. So that was in Pittsburgh. So I went out and watched him wrestle on that. And then he went to a Division I school, and I just stayed friends with his dad and him and congratulated him. And a year later, Division I didn't work out academically, and he came to Iowa Central and won a national title for us, got his degree, and now is doing real well. He's married, have 3 kids, and still talk to him every once in a while. So, yeah, it's kind of the bond you make when you're in this sport. And even if you don't coach, you still have bonds with people. You know, I see people that I wrestled in high school still, and we sit and chat. And so it's kind of a neat thing, because I don't know any other sport that's like it.
For sure. And I think, like, a lot of people go to nationals, and they don't go to nationals to watch the wrestling. I mean, at point now, you can go rent 8 TVs and put them all in a room and subscribe to ESPN for a month and get them all. And it's the camaraderie. Like, I love being there. I love being on the floor, like in national duels, like sitting with Grant and Willie and Thomas from Low Single and Earl. Like, you know, it's like when you and I have done, like when you and I did the Michigan event, you know, and we were doing the interviews back there, and you and me are just hanging out with legends of the sport and watching wrestling. Like, and it's fun because you're a great coach, and to be able to talk about, like, well, why would somebody do, you know, like, we're sort of talking our way through it as coaches, so to speak. So it's a very cool experience. So anyway, Can't tell if you're frozen here or not, but we're going to probably get into a little bit of the rankings. Can you still hear me, Mark? All right, good. Okay, so let's go through the rankings kind of quickly here. Let me get pull this up. Okay, so 125, not a lot of change this week. You know what I mean? Rivera and Renneria, but Kyson Terrakina's moved up a little bit. Provo took a loss. Actually, let's start with this. These are the upsets. This will kind of help set the ranking. So Meyer Shapiro is considered an upset because he was unranked because he hasn't wrestled, but more importantly, that was a great, great match. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. He beat Cannon Webster 2-1 on riding time. Probably the biggest upset of the week to me is Geronimo Rivera from Utah Valley beating Zan Fugitt 5-2. That was nuts. Zeke Witt, who's been in Border Brawl, tough little cat out of Kansas, beat Nico Provo. Shapiro, another win. Josh Barr, again, that's not an upset, but he was unranked. The Bryce Hepner beating Ryder Downey was a massive upset, Mark, because it won the duel. Like UNC beat Northern Iowa, which is a pretty substantial win for that program, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but, you know, you got to remember Bryce Hepner actually wrestled for Ohio State and transferred to North Carolina. So he's been in that room with the elite of the elite. So it's not a huge shocker. It's an upset. Ryder Downey is a tough kid from Iowa, Northern Iowa. And, yeah, but it doesn't surprise me.
Well, here's another one. We didn't think Connor Uten was going to wrestle. Not only did he wrestle, he beat Patty Gallagher. We're going to get into that duel in a minute. PJ Duke beating Cardenas. Again, I mean, I don't know. If we had picked that match, don't you think we both would have made Duke the favorite, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. So Swiderski beating Lamer. I can't tell if that's an upset because Lamer really he wrestled a couple opens, but it was massive for the duel.
Well, I've seen Casey wrestle this year at times, and he hasn't looked very good. So to me, it was a big upset. I thought Lamer was a little bit better.
Yeah, and we'll get into what we picked as well. And Trelli beats Robidoux in overtime, and Frost beats Styles in overtime. So Brock Woodcock, Border Brawl, Shoutout, beat Peyton Keller, has been an All-American. He's obviously having a bad season if he's ranked 33rd. And Scholes beat Brignola 8-9. That's literally a potential round 2 matchup at NCAAs if those were to be the seeds.
Yep.
Minto got his get back on Facundo. Marcus Blaze pinned Tyler Knox after they caught him grabbing a singlet. So anyway.
Was that, David, I didn't see that match. Was it competitive? Because I know the fall was in 644. Was it a competitive match till then?
I don't know. I was on a plane coming back.
Okay. All right. That's something I need to go back and watch to see. I'd like to see how competitive, because Tyler Knox is a good kid.
Yeah.
And he's on that tier to be an All-American. And so we always thought Blaze had a shot of being in the finals. It's nice to see, and I wish I would have got to see it, but I will watch it, how he competed against him and how, you know.
Yeah. Well, we've got a little downtime here. So 33, Blaze jumps from 10th to 5th. Knox drops a slot. Blaze is now right on the edge. I would consider him in that top tier with Bird, Davino, Frost, Ayala, Blaze. I heard from very, very good authority that Jax Forrest is going to compete this year.
Okay.
So that's fascinating.
It is.
41, CJ Composto comes back in the rankings after being unranked. Jesse Mendez is an absolute dog. Sergio Vega. Okay, so Mark, here's one. I think I'm usually wrong with you. I think I was right. I don't think Brock Hardy should keep trying to scramble with Sergio Vega. I think he needs to do nothing. I think that's the way for him to win that match is like snap him, try to get him underneath you, try to hit go behinds, but it doesn't matter who's on whose legs. We've seen it twice now. Vega's winning the scramble or Hardy's losing the scramble, whichever perspective. And he got packed. I don't think he was pinned when they called it, but he was, I mean, for sure it was going to be 7 points either way. Like, I think Hardy would need to work hard on top. Like, that's the way I think you win that match. So, because I want to talk about those two duels, but we'll get through the rankings here quickly.
Okay.
Team rankings are going to be a conversation. Jacob Frost moves from 10 to 5, beats Styles. That's fairly self-evident. Chance Lamer drops from 12 to 5 based on the Szydlowski loss. PJ Duke moves from 8 to 4. There's a ton of movement here. Flo's got Brandon Cannon at 1, and they laid out their argument. I think it's sort of a 4-horse race here. Zerbin didn't wrestle Cannon because he's hurt. Rabidou didn't wrestle, or Waters didn't wrestle Rabidou, but then Rabidou lost. Meyer Shapiro will move up very quickly. Cannon Webster's a dog in a weight that's super deep. So 65, LJ Arujau moves up. And Ryder Downey drops. 74, not much change in top 12. 84, the same as 74. 97, didn't change the rankings, but Merrill beat McDaniel. We'll go through those duels. Josh Barr pops back in, so everybody slides down a spot. That's probably the big thing here. And if you're looking at the rankings, number 8 popped out because that's where they had Mirasola.
Okay.
285, no change in the top 12. So now in the tournament, now all is right in the world, and Penn State is back up 26 points. So any thoughts about that?
No, I mean, it's rankings. It's still early. We haven't got into the conference matches yet, so it's going to continue to change. But to me, 57 is just an absolute. Well, you win that weight bracket, you've won one heck of a bracket. So,
yeah, 57's loaded. 65 is really good too, don't you think?
Yep.
So, all right, let's pull up the results of the Ohio. You want to talk about Ohio? I guess let's talk about Ohio State first, since
Sure.
I'm working on this right now. Recap. Here we go. I will count later who was right about what, but right now I just want to talk about what happened. I think more people are interested in our reaction to that than
who we picked.
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to find the recap here. Game 1, game 2. Really don't want photo gallery, geez. Okay, here we go. Buzakis beat Poulin 9-2. So as we talked about, we thought Buzakis would go because it was not a 2-hour weigh-in.
And it was a second match of
right.
the day for them. Yeah.
It wasn't really close. Quick 5-1 lead and extended. Davino got a takedown, and then it's your traditional 4-2 match. You get a takedown, I get escape, we trade escapes. Jesse Mendez beat Echemendia. Great double leg, faked a single the whole time. So we're really not surprised so far here. Frost beat Styles. We all picked Frost. So that is good. So far.
Pretty chalky.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this where it stops floating around. Okay. Cannon wrestled Nocturne because Vinny's hurt, so that doesn't really matter. Connor Uten with a mild upset of Gallagher. Now, GT was the only one to pick that, so shout out to him. I guess I'll try to toggle between that. 74, Karchla beat Riggins, so no MJ Gaitan. That's interesting. Fishback beat Isaac Dean in overtime. I think Isaac Dean's going to have a lot of these overtime matches, 1-point matches, don't you, Mark?
Yeah. Hard to score on.
Hard to score on, not really good enough on top to win on riding time, and doesn't commit to a lot of shots.
Yeah.
Elam Shoutout Giag, Bastida beat Feldman. So frankly, like, not a lot of surprises, right?
No. I mean, it kind of went chalk once we figured out who was going to wrestle. Obviously, Iowa State 57 could have turned it a little bit if Durbin would have wrestled, but yeah.
I'm kind of highlighting this as we're going, but we all had the last 4 matches exactly right, and we all had 49 right. We all had 57 wrong, but they didn't wrestle. So we all had 25 and 33 right. You had it right in that it wasn't a major. And then GT had 41 right that it wasn't a major. So, I mean, 65, GT wins the duel, which is weird. Or wins no, he doesn't, because he had Iowa State winning the duel. And Ohio State won the duel. So we'll have to go through it. I think you and I are very, very close. I think you win, I guess, technically, because you had 25 as a decision, not a major. And that was really our only difference, I think. So,
Okay.
Or no, because 33, you had it as a major and I didn't. So we tied. Because
Okay.
we ended up with the same dual meet score. All right, let's just overall takeaways. So here's what I think. And then we'll let you get into it. I think like right now, if I look at Ohio State, I think one of the most fascinating storylines of the second semester, Mark, is what's going to happen with Nick Bouzakis. Okay, like I have to imagine he's on a pitch count. I have to imagine that Tom Ryan's going to flip the coin every time he can versus starting at 125. And I have to imagine they got to figure out hydration, because he's going to win the Thursday night match at Nationals, and he's going to win the Friday night match at Nationals. And if he makes the finals, he can kill himself to make weight on Saturday morning, and he will weigh 100, and it'll be like it was at National Duels.
Mm-hmm.
He'll weigh 147 pounds. And it is such a massive swing for the team race. Because Brendan McCrum's good, but I don't think we think he's a surefire medalist. And if Bouzakis can manage his weight, I think he might be the champ. I think he's just so much stronger than everybody else. He just picked Steve O'Poulin up and put him down. He did the same thing to Iowa. Why am I drunk? Dean Peterson.
Yeah. Well, we got him in that cradle.
Right, but I'm saying he like picked him up in like a crotch throw first before he cradled him. Like, he's picking these guys up like they're children. Like, it's crazy. So I think that's the most fascinating storyline on the Ohio State side of things. I think Iowa State, they had an incredible first semester, right? Like, tons of competition.
Yeah.
They didn't do national duels, but they did everything else. They win Cy-Hawk. They win CKLV. They also proved like they would have been the second best team at the national duels. I mean, they absolutely proved that. They lost to Ohio State. They beat Iowa. You know exactly where they would have slotted in. I understand matches can go differently, but, I mean, if you go off the results, that's where they would have been. So
yeah, I think, though, David, I think matchups are a big thing. And so I think if you put them against, let's say, Oklahoma State, I don't think it's what Iowa did to Oklahoma State. And if Iowa State wrestled Oklahoma State, I don't think you're going to get the same results. I think it's going to be different. And it depends on, when in the day you wrestle them, obviously. But to me, Oklahoma State's still that school that could break into that top 4 to get a trophy this year.
Well, we can talk about that here shortly, because I'm about to pull up that result. So the finals result of the meet was 22-12 Oklahoma State. Let's get to the box score. So here's what struck me about this, okay? no takedown at 285, no takedown at 197, no takedown at 157. So 3 matches with no takedowns. 1, 2, 3, 4 matches with 1 takedown. I mean, it's crazy. Like from 57 on up, no takedowns, 1 takedown in overtime, 1 takedown, 1 takedown, 0 takedowns, 0 takedowns. Van D got 1 takedown. Szydlowski got 2, I think. I was in the air, but it looks like 2.
Yep.
Sergio Vega got a pin. So you can't punish him for not having a bunch of takedowns because he handled business, and Spratley majored a guy that he's a lot better than.
No.
So if you're negative Nelly for Oklahoma State, you're like, hey man, we got to score points. Especially Connor Doucette, he beat a true freshman 2-1. Cody Merrill, riding time. Silas Allred, 1 takedown over Ryder. Minto, 1 takedown over Facundo. Ladarian, 1 takedown in overtime over Arujau. Antrell, it was reversal, 2 escapes, then an escape and a ride out. And, Van D 1 takedown. If you're Oklahoma State, Willie posted he thought that they looked really good on top. That's a big part of winning the Nationals at the end of the year. But it's an interesting thing because, we can look at the team points. Let me go back to the team points. So right now, Oklahoma State's, according to Intermat's, at 65. Okay, there's basically, I feel like there's Penn State's on its own tier now. Ohio State feels like they're on their own tier. Iowa and Iowa State feel like they're on a 3rd tier. And then the 4th tier is Oklahoma State, Nebraska, and NC State. And then Cornell, I think, is the most likely team to join them because Meyer Shapiro can move way up the rankings. Like, he's a title threat. And I think he's probably ranked like 7th now. So, you add 12, 15 points there.
Sure.
And he's there immediately in that. But Oklahoma State is not in the trophy team race if with this roster performing to their rankings. Now, if you had Jax Forrest and you say he's going to take 3rd, that's 13.5 points minus Ronnie Ramirez, so say 12.5 points. But then the other part is like, if he takes 3rd, that bumps Iowa down a spot, most likely. That bumps Ohio State potentially down a slide. It could bump Marcus Blaze down a spot. He's going to place ahead of everybody but 2 guys if he takes 3rd.
Yep.
So if you're a Nebraska fan, then I'm sorry, I'm trying to click around here. If you're a Nebraska fan, here's what you're optimistic about. Van D got a win. You go, hey, Brock Hardy's still probably the 3rd best guy. Chance Lamer, first real match of the season. Antrell got his get back. Arujau is a redshirt freshman that took the number 2 guy in the country in overtime. Christopher Minto got his get back. Silas Allred wins again. Cam McDaniel's right there. And the future is bright at heavyweight with, Cade Ziola, who I am totally biased about because his dad's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah.
By the way, 7,100 people in Nebraska for the duel.
It's awesome.
I think so, right?
Yeah. Nebraska doesn't usually have near that many there.
Right.
Oh. Yeah.
So I just think it's interesting, right? Like, I don't know.
I can see both sides of what you're saying, David. I think Oklahoma State side, I think they have an All-American for sure at 25. If Jax comes out, he's an All-American at 33. Vega's obviously going to be a high placer at the national tournament at 41. Szydlowski, to me, is around a 12 guy, the way he's wrestling right now. Robidoux going to be a high All-American. Lockett's going to be a high All-American. Facundo, round of 12 guy. Maybe he sneaks in. Ryder, another one, round of 12 guy. He did lose to an All-American. Cody Merrill, to me, he's kind of a round of 12 guy. is how I look at it. And then heavyweight, another round of 12 guy. If you get a couple of those round of 12 guys to be All-Americans, they could have 7 All-Americans. I think that's going to be enough to get them a trophy. Now, Nebraska has done it. I mean, they did it last year. They were second at the national tournament. Obviously, they lost their All-American at 25, but they got an All-American back at 33, 41. They lost the national champ, but they brought in a round of 12 guy from the year before, so I'm sure Chase Lamers will do fine. The only question I have with Chase is
Chance
is that he's got to go through the Big Ten schedule now, and that's tough. These kids have not, coming out of, was it Cal Poly?
Yeah.
They don't wrestle that kind of a schedule. And this isn't going to be like a 1 week thing. This is every single week you're going to be wrestling a stud. And whether or not you're prepared for that's a whole different story, but I'm sure Mark Manning will have him ready. Antrell, he's returning national champ. He's going to be in the hunt to be, up there again. Yeah, I like Arujau from Nebraska. He went, toe-to-toe with the kid that's, ranked number 2. So he's going to be around a 12 guy. He's going to be probably close to being an All-American. Minto, we know how good he is. He placed really high last year. I still think Nebraska has 7, maybe 7 All-Americans, because you got to put the heavyweight in there, who may be the number 2 best kid in the country that didn't wrestle this weekend, Ferrari.
Yeah, here's what's interesting. Like, if you're an Oklahoma State optimist, you're like, Spradley made the finals. He can do better than being seeded 7th. Jax can beat anybody in the world, clearly. Sergio Vega looks like the only guy that could give Jesse Mendez a match. And I would argue it's probably better for Sergio Vega to only have to wrestle Jesse Mendez once. Right? Like,
yes,
he's more likely to get a 7-point move in that match than Jesse Mendez is.
Correct.
Szydlowski, he's in a weight that's not deep. Like it's not deep. So he could place. Landon Robidoux, he's going to place. Ladarian's going to place. And then, I think I'm just way more pessimistic about this top half of the lineup minus Ladarian, because, what you have literally from 57 on up is guys that have never placed at the national tournament. Now, to be fair to Landon Robidoux and Ladarian, they've never gone to the national tournament because they're freshmen. Yep. Okay, and same with Merrill. Okay, and same with Ryder. But maybe that's the point, right? Like, the first time you go, are you going to place? I'm sure the statistics say over half the time you don't. Now, a lot of those guys are 27 seeds. Okay, but I've kind of reevaluated how I look at this. And the way I look at it now is, are you a surefire top 4 guy? Because if you are, then you're in the semis. And then even if you slide, you take 6th. If you're not, and it's pretty clear you're not, then you're going to lose in the quarters or the round of 16, and but give you the benefit of the doubt, and then you're going to have a blood round match coming off of a loss. I think the guys that don't score a lot of points, that doesn't bode well for them. I think what's very interesting to me is I feel like Sergio Vega, Landon Robidoux, and Zach Ryder are fairly easy to figure out. Sergio Vega, and again, figuring it out is like knowing what each chess piece does. It doesn't mean it's then it's easy to beat him. Mm-hmm. But if you go, Zach Ryder's an underhook guy. If you stay out of the underhook and just keep that elbow closed, he doesn't really shoot. Okay, he rides hard, but he's not dangerous on top. He doesn't have a great tilt series or legs or anything, or a cradler. So you can be in that match with him. Robidoux's really good high pace, really good snap go behind, but really doesn't attack legs until he knows he's winning, he's going to win. And then Vega's the most complicated one because he scores when you shoot and he scores when he shoots.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't finish clean, but it's almost like he doesn't want to, right? Like he's like Jay Nyerman, right? Except with more leg attacks. Like, let's just grab each other's legs and see who's better, and I believe I'm better. Now,
I guess I see it a little different than you do, David, because I look at it. If you're going to get into the round of 12, if you've got pedigree, and every one of these kids have pedigree, they were all top 10 in the country coming out of high school, most of them.
I think that'd be true of every kid in the country who's in the top 12.
Not necessarily. Cody Merrill was one of the top high school kids coming out. You can't say that about everybody else. You can't say that about Camden McDaniels. He wasn't one of the best kids in the country coming out of high school. He was a good high school wrestler, but he didn't have the pedigree that Merrill did. And so these kids are in a room with an Olympic champion as a coach. I would take that team in the round of 12 over a lot of other teams in the round of 12.
There's a lot of pressure there for those guys to team trophy, because last year they caught lightning in a bottle. They were sort of the story of nationals, even though they didn't take second because of the wins at 74 and especially the win at 285. And, last year they didn't have a guy that you thought was going to be a champ, and they came up with two, and they could do it again. I mean, Sergio Vega could beat Mendez in one of the greatest upsets. I think a true freshman against a guy that's on pace to be a 3-timer, 4-time All-American, and a Hodge guy. Ladarian's, I don't think he beats Messenbrink, but he could.
Yeah.
Rabidu's the one I have the least amount of faith in. It's not just because it's really just because of how deep that weight is, man.
Yeah.
Like, that weight's so hard. Like, at 157, here's the top 8 guys in here's the top 9 guys, because it's kind of it's Waters, Cannon, Zerbin, Duke, Taylor, Rabideau, Shapiro, Webster, Cardenas. And then you still have guys like Logan Rosinski, Jackson Arrington, Jordan Williams. I mean, like, that's brutal. Like, even if you're the one, like right now, Ty Waters would have to wrestle Cannon Webster and then the winner of PJ Duke and Antrell Taylor.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you look at this, even if you had Jax, they have to add Jax the way they added Marcus Blaze. Like, he's got to start off the board. Like, you can rank him 33rd. Like, that's what you and I would do, So it's I did want to ask you, how would you rank 157? Let me pull it up here so you can. So here, like, Waters is, people that are not listening, Waters is 10-0, didn't wrestle Rabideau. Cannon's 10-0, has wrestled everybody. Zerbin's 8-0, didn't wrestle Cannon, injured. But he also didn't wrestle in the other duel, so it's not like he ducked. Duke, 9-0, hasn't wrestled anybody above him. Antrell Taylor's 10-2. He lost to Rabideau, avenged that loss. I'm trying to think his other loss, Mark.
It's at national duels. I just don't remember who it was.
I'll wrestle stat it. Meyer Shapiro 2-0. Cannon Webster 12-1, only lost to Shapiro. So I'll leave this up. I'm going to wrestle stat the other thing. Go ahead and tell me how you would rank this.
I think I'd have Ty Waters number 1, just because of his past, and he hasn't lost this year, and he wrestled in the All-Star meet and looked good. Even though that doesn't count, I think a guy that puts his number 1 ranking on the line when he goes to that thing deserves to, be where he's at. If I just have to rank it, probably Cannon 2. I would put Duke at 3 ahead of Vinny Zerbin. I'd probably put Vinny Zerbin 4. Taylor.
Why would you? Okay, I think overall lifetime resume, PJ Duke's better, but why do you say that?
Duke in front of Zerbin?
Yeah.
Because he's wrestled every time he's wrestled every meet. He goes out there. Zerbin hasn't wrestled in every event yet. So,
I would argue that
I like giving guys
a schedule. Iowa State's had a much harder schedule than Penn State. So
agree, but they've said them twice now when it counts. this year. So
real
I like
quick,
it that
Antrell Taylor, real quick. I apologize. He lost to Brandon Cannon 16-4. And I can't believe I forgot this. He lost to Lehigh Rosinski 9-1, where he got packed early.
Yeah, he didn't wrestle against
Iowa.
Oklahoma State. He didn't wrestle against Oklahoma State. He sat out. Yeah, I think Taylor probably, just because of who's Robidoux beaten this year, I think you actually have to put him up ahead of him. And that's the reason he's at 5. I would have probably, I don't think I would have moved him up that high with 2 losses.
So you'd have Waters 1, Cannon 2, Duke 3, Zurban 4. Who do you have 5?
See, that to me, that's a tough one. I would probably put Shapiro, Webster.
That's it. Those guys are handcuffed, and that's an argument, right? Like Meyer Shapiro's done what he's done. But here's the problem with that. Here's the argument for it. Meyer Shapiro, age group world champion, NCAA All-American. Cannon Webster was undefeated besides him. But now you're ranking Cannon Webster over the defending champ.
Yeah.
And it gets tricky. So this is where it's fun. Like when we would do rankings and somebody else would do it different. You go, that was our other option, as opposed to what were those guys thinking, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. But 2 losses is 2 losses. And that to me is, I know it's a bad weekend. Everybody has a bad weekend every once in a while. But that's kind of where
the argument though, here's the other argument. The loss to a guy ranked above you doesn't hurt you.
Correct. But the other one really hurts you.
I guess. I mean, he's ranked like 9th or 10th. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not like the Geronimo Rivera loss for Zan Fugitt. I mean, like all losses are not the same.
Correct.
So, and I was wrong. I apologize. Antrell did not get his get back in Robidoux. He didn't wrestle him. I think I was in my brain had he lost to him and not Rosinski.
Yeah.
So I apologize. There was a lot of wrestling that weekend. So it's an interesting thing though, right? Like, and this is where we knew, like, hey, PJ Duke's going to move up the rankings. Blaze is going to move up the rankings. As soon as Barr comes back in the rankings, they're going to be 1. I don't think John Kozak did it for clickbait. Okay. I just think that's how it worked.
Sure.
But here's what would be interesting. Let's say Mirasola beat out Barr. Like, you can't probably put Mirasola above Rocky Elam and some other people, right?
No.
So that's interesting, right?
I actually think Rocky Elam's best kid in college at 97 right now. Just my personal opinion, watching him wrestle. He's good. And Barr's
healthy. He's healthy, dude.
Yeah, and Barr's a beast, but I mean, I just think Elam's a little bit better. I think he will not have a close. I mean, the score may be fairly close, but I don't think anyone will come that close to beating him this year.
All right. Do you want to do this? We might do this again next week. We've got some time left. Let me see if there's anything else that was overly critical to cover. I don't think so. I mean, let me look at, sorry for toggling here, people. Don't know what's on the schedule for this coming week, but yeah, they haven't put that out yet. So Cornell, Illinois was an interesting duel. I will say this, just so people know we're not asleep at the wheel. Mike Poeta has been put on administrative leave in Illinois. I spoke to an assistant coach. They said they don't think it's major and hope it's resolved quickly. There are several rumors on what the problem is, but you and me are not really in the rumor game, Mark, especially about stuff that can be reputation damaging without concrete proof. I would just for the record, would assume you agree with that?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, a couple of other notes. Neither one of the Larkins wrestled against Wisconsin, so we did not get Larkin Fugitt. And we should have made a bigger deal about this. Penn State broke the record,
Mark. Yeah. We talked about it last week. And what Kel does, well, he's good at what he does. Doesn't matter what he's doing. I think maybe they should have hired him as head football coach now that I think about it. They took a good guy from Iowa State. Nice guy, good coach. So
yeah. All right, let's do this quickly, and then we'll probably do it with GT next week. All right, so let me make sure this is showing up. Here we go. Okay. Here's these. If you're listening, we are pulling up the rankings from Intermat, and we're just going to pick finalists, Mark, and I'm going to tell you who you picked at the beginning of the season.
Okay.
You picked Lillidow and Robinson. I picked Lillidow and Robinson. Grant picked Lillidow and Spratley. I will stick with my pick.
I will too.
Okay. I'm surprised that we got at least one right. So, okay. I believe you're going to make a change here, and I believe I'm going to be closer. 33, you picked Ayala and Bird. GT picked Ayala and Blaze, and your boy picked Forrest and Blaze. Who do you want?
I'm going to take Bird, and I got to take Davino. I still think those are the two best kids right now. After watching what Davino did, I mean, I'm a big Drake fan. I know the family. Boy, he's got some things he's going to have to get better at before nationals, but knowing Drake, that's when he's wrestling his best. So I'm not counting him out of being a finalist again. But right now, Davino looks really good, and Bird is a beast. So I'm going to go with those two.
Okay. You had Davino. You just said Vino is an All-American. That's how we did it. So, okay. I will stick with Forrest Blaze.
Okay.
Okay, 41. So people can see the rankings. Mark picked Mendez Stanich. David picked Mendez Stanich. GT picked Mendez Echemendia. None of us had Sergio Vega as an All-American. I don't know what to do about Stanich, Mark.
Yeah, is he going to wrestle?
I don't know, but you feel like at this point, right? Like, I think I'm going to go. I mean, I think I have to go Mendez Vega, right? I mean, I'd be kind of crazy, excuse me, not to at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got it. As much as I like Echemendia, well, he's going to get in some positions that he is not going to like, whether he wants to or not. Vega, yeah, I would imagine right now, to me, Vega has had probably the surprise of the year for me, for a true freshman coming in, dominating.
Yes.
I mean, he's tough, and I don't know how that's going to change. So I would go Mendez Vega right now. I still think Mendez is the best kid, but I'm starting to wonder. His weakness is underneath, and Vega's strength is anytime he's near the top, because he finds a way to put you on your back. Because I remember back when Jesse was really good, but he was getting turned by guys, and
I think it's almost like a jiu-jitsu match, right? Like one guy's going to score all the points and the other guy can submit you at any time.
Yep.
It's like, and it's a dumb sentence, but like you're winning until you're losing, you know? Yep. So, okay, 49. So you had originally picked Van Ness and Szydlowski. So I feel good about this. I had picked Van Ness and Larkin. GT had picked Panero and Szydlowski. So I feel like we're going to beat GT on this one. I'm going to stick with Van Ness and Larkin. I understand Jackson Joy put a clinic on him, but I'm going to stay with it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Joy and Van Ness.
Because you're just a chalk guy.
No, because
you have no courage.
Dude, he teched a Larkin. You just don't
tech courage.
You don't tech people and say, Yeah, he's probably going to be better than me at nationals.
You're the lion from the Wizard of Oz. It's fine.
I don't care. I'm not taking Szydlowski. Let's put it that way.
No, listen, what you're saying is the smart pick. Okay. 57. So here's all right. This is very interesting. You had Shapiro and Penn State. I had Penn State and Antrell. GT had Penn State and Antrell. We now know Penn State is Duke. We kind of all thought it was going to be Duke, but we gave ourselves that latitude. So the real question is, do we think Antrell is that? I mean, here's what I feel pretty good about my picks so far. Like, I feel like I can stick with almost all of them and be good. I think I would, if I had my choice, I think I'd rather have your pick of Penn State and Shapiro over Penn State and Taylor, but I mean, Taylor beat Shapiro last year, so maybe I'm wrong.
He did.
All right, but are we in agreement that we like those three picks? Or are you going to put Ty Waters, Cannon, somebody else?
I'm staying with my picks.
Okay. Now some courage. There we go. Good for you.
Oh, boy.
65. You had Messenbrink. We all had Messenbrink Caliendo, and we all had Lockett as an All-American. Okay. I feel like Messenbrink Caliendo is still a pretty smart pick.
Yep, I'm sticking with it.
Okay. 74. You had Haynes and Kennedy. I had Haynes and Minto. GT had Haynes and Ruiz. And I think GT, I would want his pick now if I had to do that. But I'm going to stick with Haynes and Minto. I think Minto's fine.
Okay. I'm going to stick with Haynes, and I'm going to stick with Kennedy.
I like the courage, Mark. I like the courage.
Yeah, I'm not scared.
I'm not scared. You're scared to get a dog. Okay, you and I both had Ferrari and McAnally. GT had McAnally and Ferrari. I mean, so I guess that's sort of the same. I mean, I'm just going to, listen, I don't think at this point of the year, I think this is one of the best years I've had. Like, I'm sticking with it. I like Aiden Sinclair a lot. He can beat Ferrari. He's proven he can beat McAnally. He's right there. I do not understand why people are sleeping on Rocco Welsh. Like, Rocco Welsh should probably be number 2 in the country right now, right?
Probably.
Anyway, you're sticking with your picks?
Yeah, I'll stick with my picks.
All right, 97. Let's see how smart we were here. Oh, boy. GT had Bar Elam. Mirikitani had Bar Elam. Mark had Elam Rademacher. Would you like to join us, Mark?
Yeah, I go with Bar.
Okay.
I think Rocky wins it, but
Yeah.
I'll take Rocky and Bar.
Okay, 285. You and I had Bastida Ferrari. GT had Bastida Trumbull. I'll stick with my picks.
I'm sticking with mine.
Okay. All right. I don't remember if we picked teams. I'm trying to look. We did not. Okay. All right. So it is.
Can I wish everybody a Merry Christmas?
In a minute. It's December 23rd. We're about to do that. There are some major freestyle rule changes. I'm going to get a couple referees, and we're going to talk about that on Matt Chat. I feel like that's probably a better format for that. Okay. But yes, Mark, you better haircut. I just shaved mine today, but I think your hair is probably still better than mine. So you go ahead.
Okay, we don't have hair, David. So
I do.
But that's congratulations. I do too. If you look in the back somewhere, there's
Mark. Okay, Mark.
All right.
If you get me $1,000, I will grow a full head of hair. I don't like it, but I will do it. Actually, it can be there. All right, go ahead.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody that's listening, to my family, my friends, David, you and Grant, your parents, everybody that makes this possible to do these podcasts and just talk about wrestling, what we love. So I'm honored, I'm privileged, and I don't take it for granted. I know I may not be around doing this, forever, so I enjoy doing it while I can.
It's been a blessed year for me. The border brawl at Nationals, Philadelphia, getting to do the blog with Earl and those guys, getting to do all the play-by-plays this year, getting to do the fall border brawl, running Fab 50, doing the pods, partnering with Randy Couture, partnering with Beat the Street Chicago. I've had some meaningful things happen in my life that have made me correctly stop taking things for granted. And so it's with great humility that I am blessed that you and Grant are my friends and choose to do this, and that Nike and Resilite and Pure and Clean support what we do, and the people that watch and listen and share and all those things. It's just a lot. It's a lot to be thankful for. And I think most of us are head down every day, just grinding and doing what we can and trying to do new things or be the best son, spouse, parent, whatever we can be. And so, usually this is the time of year where we give people an extra hug and a kiss, and you should do that. And, my parents went with me this weekend, Mark, and it's, they don't move quite as fast as they used to.
Yep.
But it's definitely worth the extra few minutes to, be able to talk to them afterwards and listen to their assessment of things. And, how much I completely idolize my father. For him to say you did well, it was a good event, we're proud of you, is super meaningful. So we'll let Grant give his New Year's wishes and everything next year. We appreciate everybody watching, listening, sharing, subscribing. Please continue to do so. And Merry Christmas, everyone, and we will speak to you all next week.